everyone, praise the Lord. And today I came to share a very beautiful thing happened in my life. And yes, we all know that this is the last day of this year 2019, and we are going to step in a good year, in a new year that is 2020 tomorrow. And everyone is excited to celebrate the new year, and they're even celebrating the 31st night just because this is the last day of the year. So today I came to you because not to share about disobedience, don't worry, but a great thing happened in my life in this year. And this year 2019 has taught me a lot of things, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. And I want to remind you all about my life, that as little information about my life, about my spiritual journey is I was baptized in 2017, and I had received a call from God, and I submitted to it, and I gave my life to Christ in 2018. And this is 2019, and tomorrow we are going to step in 2020. So this is about my spiritual life, and this information will help you understand more about the thing I'm going to share. So this is all about my promise for this year 2019 and how God has fulfilled that promise. And I hope that this video is going to bless you a lot. So watch till the end to be blessed. And the first thing is, uh, last year at 31st night, I was so excited to receive my promise. So as 2017, I was baptized, and 2018, and I gave my life to Christ. That means 2019 is a year that is so important to me, because that's where God. I thought that this is what I thought. That's where God will use me, and this is a year God is going to use me. and and I waited for a promise, for in such a way where God will speak to me how to do His work and how to be in His ministry. So I asked God for a promise, to like a confirmation for His call, and also and what to do next in my spiritual life or in the ministry, and what do you want me to do, and why did you call me. So I had all these questions, and I wanted all these questions to be answered through a promise of 2019. So this is how I waited for my promise on 31st night of 2018. So this is 1 year back. So I waited for I was super excited for my promise 2019, and I prayed for and I asked Lord for the promise I wanted. But on 31st night I was very disappointed looking at my promise, because it is not good. It's not a good promise. It's a promise that I didn't want. So that is from Daniel chapter 6 verse 25. It is peace and prosperity to you. I was really very disappointed. If someone of you gets this promise, you may be so happy. But I was so disappointed because this is a promise I didn't want. So I asked God for something else, and He promised me something else. I was very disappointed, and I was like, who asked for this? Who asked this for? So that was my promise, peace and prosperity to you, from Daniel 6:25. So I was very disappointed, and you will not believe. And on 1st Jan, I was all crying about my promise. Why did I get this promise? Is there a mistake with me? And I have all these questions in my mind. Why? And I've asked God for something else, and He gave me something else. I have all these questions in my mind. I was all crying. And to be honest, I'm very sensitive, and we all humans are sensitive, right? When things doesn't go in our way, we feel frustrated and we feel disappointed. So that's what I felt on 1st, and I was all crying. Everyone was in celebrations of was in celebrating 1st Jan, but I was the New Year day, but I was all crying. Why, Lord? Why asking justice? So so I thought of leaving that. Uh, so I have kept that promise aside, and I led my life. So I didn't want that promise. The first thing I didn't want, I forgot it, and I kept it aside because I didn't like it, and I didn't want it, and I didn't know the reason why God promised me in that way. So I left it aside and I just led my life. So I was all was so frustrated and disappointed about my promise this year. But in this year, and in while we are, and in family prayer, and as a family we pray together, and in that time we read a Bible, a chapter from the Bible. So when we are going through Daniel chapter 6, and God has told me why he promised me in that way, and how somehow I got a clarity on the third question, but I was not satisfied with that promise. So what he taught me was, so it's this chapter is about how Daniel was saved from the lion's den. So King Darius was very surprised with that, and he came to know that our God is the one and only God, and he's the creator, and he's the almighty, and he's the true God. And when he came to know this, and he proclaimed a peace and prosperity to all the men and women, all the people in his kingdom. So these are the exact words of King Darius. So he proclaimed peace and prosperity to all the nations and his kingdom. So this peace and prosperity to you is in NLT version, which suits my exact promise in Telugu, because my mother tongue is Telugu. In NKJV, it's just peace be multiplied unto you. So don't worry, peace and prosperity to you. And this is the exact translation of my Telugu version. So King Darius is the one who spoke these words, who proclaimed these words to the nations of his kingdom. So why did he do this? So God has told me why did he do this, and it somehow I got a clarity, and on why God promised me. I just understood that promise, but I didn't like it, and I didn't want. I was not just sat. I was not completely satisfied with that promise yet. So what God told me was, when what King Darius understood and why did he proclaimed in that way. So this is the reason. When King Darius came to know that he is the one and only God, he is the true God, he proclaimed peace and prosperity to all nations. Because when God is in when God will come to our lives, and when God dwells in us, we'll have peace and also prosperity. And I believe that prosperity is not only in uh, terms in the time in the terms of money, but also spiritual prosperity, and I believe this. So when God when God comes to our lives, and when God dwells in us, we'll have peace and also prosperity. And I have understood this. So it's like I understood that promise, and I've got a clear, and I'm clear about that promise, but I didn't know yet why God promised me in that way. So so this is all. So I got a clarity on my promise, but I was not satisfied yet why that promise was promised by God in 2019. So recently on Sunday, on this Sunday, on last Sunday, on 29th maybe. So I was all sorry on Saturday night, that is around 12 o'clock. That means Sunday. I was thinking about this year, because as that was the last Sunday of the year, so I was all thinking about the grace of the Lord in this 2019, and I suddenly got remembered about my promise. And then when I look back into my life, God has fulfilled that promise in my life. How great God is, and let me tell you how He has fulfilled that promise in my life. So, peace and prosperity are two words in my promise, and I'm going to say you two things separately. So first thing is peace. So what I believe is, when when you have no problems in your life, you will be peaceful. And I don't mean that when we have problems in our lives, we will not be peaceful. We God will definitely give us peace, but when we are in problems, our peace is destroyed, right? So just think of this, and then this 2019 has year, and God has kept me, and God has given me a very good peace, and I was peaceful. and it's just because of God. And I can say it's just because of God, not because, not at all because of my goodness or something else, but just because of God. So this video is taking long, but this video is definitely going to bless you. So the first thing piece is this 2019 in my family. We are four, my mom and dad, my brother and me. So in my family, my mother and my father and my brother has gone through and has suffered with many health problems. So many of you may not know this. I suffered through many problems in this year. So my mom went through a massive surgery, and my dad was admitted in hospital for 4 days for the first time in his life, just because of a fever. So he has suffered with from a very high fever, and he was in hospital for 4 days for the first time in his life. And you can understand how God has been in all through his life. But just this year, he was in hospital for 4 days with suffering from high fever for the first time in his life. And my brother has suffered with very a lot of health problems. I cannot list it out, it's a big list. So uh, mm, three of them in my family had suffered from a lot of health problems. But do you know, I didn't have anything. Just twice, I think this year, twice I suffered from fever, twice or thrice. Just that simple, mean fever. But my three of them of my family has gone through many sufferings in this year. But me, look at me, I'm the weakest in my family. Compared to all the members, I'm so weak physically. But God gave me strength, and uh, God made me healthy compared to all of them. So God protected me so greatly, and He has not allowed any health problems in my life. And somehow with so I didn't have health problems. When problems are there in our life, definitely your peace will be destroyed. So I was somehow more peaceful than my family members, I can say this. But I didn't mean that I don't have any problems. I didn't have any problems this year. I faced a lot of problems, but not physically. That's what I mean. So God has multiplied peace in unto me in this year. So he has been so great, and when I think of it, it's really amazing. And this his grace is indescribable. So this is how he has given me peace this year. And the second thing is prosperity. So as I've said you before, that 2017 I was baptized, 2018 was the year when I gave my life to Christ, and 2019 is a year something very important. So that's what I asked for in a way of promise. How to do your ministry? Be? How should I be in their ministry? So all these questions, I want all these questions to be answered to my promise, but it was not happen. So prosperity. I'm talking just about spiritual prosperity, and I don't bother about the prosperity in the world. So only spiritual prosperity. So in this year, as you all know, I started CFC, the ministry I lead, and no one helps this. So just me, and just through God's will and just through God's grace, I'm leading this ministry, and it's just because of God's grace. And God has been so faithful to me. And in the beginning, I thought just, is this possible? But God made it possible, and He is the one who does impossible things. So this is how He's given me peace and prosperity this year. So if I just go to first Jan again, I was crying that I got this promise. But today, 31st December, I can say that if God didn't promise me in this way, my life would be somewhere. And if God allowed just a health problem in my life, I would all be so depressed, and my spiritual life has gone somewhere else. So I can definitely say that I'm blessed with this promise. If God didn't promise me in this way, I would be somewhere else. And I really thank God for the promise He has given me for 2019, and He has fulfilled that promise. And our God is not only a God who makes promise, and He's also a God who keeps His promises. He's such a great God, right? So in this year, He has fulfilled my promise. And though I've forgotten that promise in my life, though I've left it aside, God was still working for the fulfillment of His promise. He's such a great God, my dear brother and sister. So this is my story for His glory and the promise fulfillment of this year 2019. So we are all excited for 2020, and we are going to receive promises in our lives. So we just wait for the promise which God has given, which God is going to give. We shall not make any wishes or something else, like just I was disappointed last year, so I made a resolution not to uh, wish for something some promise, but to accept the promise God has given me, and to just know how God fulfills that promise in our lives. So 2020, and I hope that this 2020 is going to bless us, all of us, and especially we are going to grow. So all glory to Jesus alone. So, and I love to hear what's your story in this 2019, how God has fulfilled your promise in 2019. And just please comment me below if you are watching this video, and let me know how God has been so faithful in your life, and how God has fulfilled your promise in this life, in this year. So, Happy New Year in advance. God bless you all. All glory to Jesus alone. Thank you so much for watching this video so patiently.